but since we're the first session of the day, we have to bring high energy. It's pretty much required. So what is the song that you would have to play to hype yourself up or to get excited about a really big presentation?
We did not prep this.
We did not.
Sweet dreams are made of cheese. Who am I to disagree? I traveled the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for Goodles.
Okay, all right. Okay. You know, at the
Bring
Washington
it.
Journal Food Forum,
Bring it.
impromptu singing is definitely on the list. So, you know, obviously it's the morning, and you know, this is the first thing that I'm sure everyone thinks about when they wake up in the morning is what they, you know, is mac and cheese for breakfast.
I do.
So when was the last time you had mac and cheese for breakfast?
Mac and cheese for breakfast, maybe 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
High protein. Who doesn't want high protein, high fiber, 21 nutrients, clean ingredients, low glycemic index, so it doesn't cause the sugar rush and the crash afterwards? Good steady energy. Yeah, mac and cheese for breakfast. Absolutely.
So you think Goodles,
Yeah.
mac and cheese breakfast food, you can do it.
That is, we are not announcing that, so please do not publish it, Wall Street Journal. But like, yeah, why not? Little butter, little, yeah.
Okay.
So good.
So last night we had companies with heritage from the 1700s, from 1950,
Yeah.
and Goodles started in the long time ago in 2020. And obviously you're in a category with very big names. So what was the journey like working with co-founders to just get the idea funded?
Oh man, well, Paul Earl, my partner and co-founder out here, we were instantly certain this was a giant, big idea. When we looked out at the space and saw, you know, some really amazing, great companies, but they had done a couple of different things. Number one, nutritionally, it hadn't evolved in decades. The branding was very dated, and they seemed to think that mac and cheese was just for little kids. And if any of you know 20 or late 20s or early 30s people, they love mac and cheese. They just try not to eat it very much. And we're like, what if mac and cheese was not just for little kids? What if we can make it for something else? So we were really excited about this idea. We went out and pitched it to a whole bunch of VCs and really smart industry people, and they all told us no, it would never work.
Ooh.
So that's when we started. I cashed in my 401k. And we started writing our checks ourselves because we were just certain there was a there. Because, you know, looking at this space, Kraft, General Mills, these are really big companies with really deep pockets. So we knew going into it, there was no way we were ever going to outspend them, not with my 401k at least. And so if you know that you can never throw money at it the way that they can, you just have to think about everything differently. So we just said, if you can't beat them at their game, we've got to change the game. And so we built something just very, very different from the ground up. And even now that we do have money, that hasn't changed.
So it's safe to say that you're a challenger brand. So, but what are the keys for brands like yours to really compete in 2026 when the options for consumers are basically endless?
It is true. It is true. Thank goodness that things are evolving. Thank you to everyone who is deciding that food needs to nourish and that innovation is something to be embraced. So I think it's exciting that there's so many great new options that are appearing for our customers. That's one thing that we're very happy when people want to copy us. Some things you can't copy, but feel free to make your food cleaner and more nutritious and taste better. Thank you. So, you know, that challenger brand mindset that we had at the very outset was a necessity because we just could never outspend our competition. So we had to skate to white space and go to places where they could kind of never follow. But that mindset has to continue and does continue to this day. I think at its core, we have to be a brand that is willing to take risks. A phrase that we use is, you know, consensus kills. So we try to kill consensus. I come from big CPG. Most of our team and our leadership team comes from bigger companies, and the way that it usually works there and the way that decisions are made is if someone is like, whoa, I don't feel good about that, then you kill it. What you launch is what is the average. You launch what is like expected and safe. And that is dangerous. And I will say that it makes even us uncomfortable. There are things that we do where sometimes I feel good about it and Paul's like, oh God, don't do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling this one. And that's okay. We launch it anyway. Sometimes there's things where the team is like, Jen, we feel good about it. And I'm just like, ah! Like we had this, our gluten-free pasta is amazing. It tastes like amazing, just regular old pasta, but it's gluten-free, high protein, high fiber, 21 nutrients from veggies and plants, all kinds of good stuff. And so the team's campaign was taste great naked, because you don't have to cover it in sauce. You just don't hide it at all. And the campaign was, these boxes coming out of the steam room and, dropping its towel full frontal and it's all pixelated down there. Like it's a box, and the music is like salacious 70s music and you're like, oh my gosh, are we doing this? And they're like, Jen, I think we're doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, all right, we're doing it. So that's the kind of risk taking that's required in order to launch everything from marketing to flavors, because if you go and survey people, there is no one who says they need grilled cheese mac and cheese. But if you haven't tried our new thrilled cheese mac and cheese, it's amazing. You didn't know you needed it. No survey would ever tell you need that. We just had to go for it.
So it can take decades for food brands to build like meaningful share. Obviously, it took that for Kraft. Obviously, Annie's built a significant share. So where's Goodles at now relative to its age?
So the numbers just came out on Saturday. We have one competitor which has been at this for 86 years, another that has been at this for 36 years. So they have many decades head start on us. We just checked the numbers on Saturday morning. Looks like we have an 8 share. And this is exciting because we were a 6 share in January when Jesse Newman, wherever you are, covered the mac and cheese wars that were heating up. In January, we were a 6 share. So, and the context here is that, we have been gaining share pretty steadily and making other brands very nervous. And so the expenditures on marketing, on campaigns, on innovation, like just throwing more and more and more money at it, and the amount of units that are sold on promo is just kind of skyrocketing for our competitors, because that's a strategy that you can use. And so in that context, for us, 5 months later after your reporting came out, to have gained another 2 points of share during that time period, we're really excited.
So how? So, I mean, it's a very simple question, but just like what changed from January to May, and, take us on the journey for where you're going.
Not even a lot of distribution, a net new distribution, because most of our resets are all coming up. Those are all in, June timeframe and or in the fall in September. So it is pure velocity. So I think what has changed is, and our KPI that we use for our business, because it truly is the leading indicator of whether or not legendary financial outcomes are going to pop out the other end. We measure our success in our fan love. So we have seen a giant uptick in the number of tattoos that people are getting of our Goodles brand. The number of Halloween costumes that people are dressing up as our mac and cheese for Halloween. We get Shakespearean sonnets. We get multiple pairs of custom Goodles shoes that have been presented to me. Some high heels, some Air Jordans. The fan love output has been astounding. And another metric that we track is the number of organic mentions. So there are some things, some people pay for media and they say, we got 100 million, we paid for 100 million media views or whatever it is. Or our organic media creation in Q1 alone was over 150 million organic views of just Goodles. So we don't pay for that. We don't do any of that. That is just pure fan love because of the relationships that we've built with our community. And honestly, this is their brand. They're just kind of putting us on their shoulders and running with this brand, and they love it, and we love them, and we're like, go team, go. So, yeah.
So we're gonna have a chance to open it up for questions in a few minutes, but let's talk about a little bit more on marketing. So obviously we have Mac here.
Yes.
You have the necklaces. So for anybody who can't see it and fully appreciate it, it's fire.
Yeah.
Like, let's start there.
Yeah.
But
high protein, high fiber, 21 nutrients, and it looks cute.
But
Yeah.
you've also talked about like Goodles needing to out-weird the competition.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because that could be taken a lot of different ways.
You know, I mean, it really means that it goes back to that kind of idea of being willing to take risks. So, you know, the flavors that we launch, I've been thinking about kind of the way that we launch products even as category bending. So we've been bending the edges of what's even possible in mac and cheese from the very beginning. When we launch with cacio e pepe, which is our mover and shaker. Make it with the pasta water, the skimmed off pasta water. It's incredible. We launched cacio e pepe. We launched shaved black truffle. We launched grilled cheese mac and cheese. We launched all kinds of things that people are like, wait, is that mac and cheese? And then you take a bite and you're like, wow, that is mac and cheese. Packaging, we've questioned what's possible in packaging. If you think about microwavable cups, you think all of the microwavable cups in the mac and cheese market, the Easy Mac, everything, it's all plastic. I don't want to cook in plastic. So we launched paper-based cups, and they look like pints of ice cream. People are like, I don't know what it is. I'm just like, we think you're going to like it. And now that thing is like flying. We just launched it about 6 months ago, and the turns are off the hook. Like nobody anticipated or expected this. So packaging, the way the brand looks, the way that our marketing can be, we have, I can't tell you about it yet, but in about 10 weeks maximum, we're gonna be launching something that is going to make everyone in this room go, wait, is that mac and cheese? And you're gonna be like, yep, that is mac and cheese. And 5 years from now, all of our competitors will be copying us, and that's fine, that's okay. But we have to stay on the leading edge of that, and we have to go really fast and be willing to take risks.
But how do you know that your competitors are, when we talked in the pre-call, you said that you have a sense of what flavors your competitors are gonna launch before they do. Like
Yes.
what, you don't have a little black truck following, a Goodles truck following the people to Crafts HQ.
No, it's a mindset. I know, because you can run a survey and you say, what kind of mac and cheese do you like, customer? And they will say, maybe some peas, maybe stick in some broccoli, maybe put in some bacon, maybe do some ranch dressing, like whatever it is. It's all very close in. And so I can run a survey, I can see exactly what customers want, and I can imagine that so many other competitors are like, well, let's do the safe thing. Let's launch with the thing that has at the top of the list and on their way down. So we have Dreamy Creamy. That idea for that mac and cheese, which is tons of cream cheese mixed in. It came from Ryan Reynolds, and it came from Blake Lively. When they make our Chetty Mac, they stir in cream cheese, and it went crazy on TikTok, and we were like, that's actually a really good idea, and it tastes really good. So we launched Dreamy Creamy. So our ideas come from our community. They come from our fans. They come from they come from fashion. They come from a restaurant that we just came back from New York, and we're like, wait, could that be mac and cheese? They're like, maybe, let's give it a try. And so, yeah, and retailers are they've figured out, because again, we're not mac and cheese just for little kids. Little kids have very simple palates. They like the orange one, or they like the white one. And adults are different. They're in kind of a cacio mood, or maybe they're in a truffle mood, or maybe they're in a hatch chili popper mood, which is kind of inspired by jalapeno poppers, but with hatch chilies. They might be in that kind of a mood. And so their pantries are packed with every single flavor, because you never know what mood they're going to be in. And so the more that our retailers put on shelves, the more that our fans are buying. And that is where our big guess in the beginning about, I feel like if we could lure these young adults back to Mac, we would actually be able to massively grow the category, because it's no longer a guilty pleasure. They can eat it as many times as they want. And so that's what's happening. So incrementality is the big story for our retailers. 84% of the shoppers who are buying Goodles are incremental to the category. So at a giant mass retailer that might have red logos, it has 84% incremental to the category. New people who have never purchased mac and cheese ever before at that store, and or usage occasions way higher than they've ever eaten before. And we see that at Costco, we see it at Walmart, we see it like those numbers, that's the incrementality. So it's a win-win for our retailers too.
So one thing, if we could spend like even 1 minute on trust. Consumers often say that food companies or the products that they're eating, they just fundamentally don't trust it. They don't either believe on the what's in the packaging. They don't like the ingredients that are being used. So what do you think are maybe the one or two biggest reasons why you think people fundamentally don't trust food makers?
Because for decades and decades, we've been stripping out the cheese and stripping out all the good stuff and going for lower and lower and lower cost things. I mean, people told us like, oh, no one's ever going to pay 3 times as much for mac and cheese. Guys, it's $3. I think the question is, what's in that stuff that is made that's 70 cents? That's the question. Like, what could be in there? Like, it is okay to charge for something that's good. So I think that's the reason why that they have very good reasons to not trust it. And it's a slow and steady process to rebuild that trust. And so it's not just what you put in the food, it's also how transparent you are and how much you share about what's in your food. We also, our tagline is noodles gooder. It's not noodles goodest, it's not noodles best. Like, you can't be perfect. We don't claim to be perfect at everything. It's just try to eat a little better, a little more protein, a little more fiber, a little more nutrients, a little cleaner, a little less, gluten, all of those sorts of things, and all of that adds up. So that's just kind of also part of our vision and our mission. So you don't need to be perfect, unlike David.
We have time for maybe one question. Is there anyone in the room? Some right here in the front.
Hi, I'm Lynn Altman from Brand Now, and we're an innovation company that's always advocating for brands to innovate at an accelerated pace.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering how speed and pace affect your innovation approach.
Yeah, I mean, we aim for, something new almost every quarter. And we're a tiny team, so that's a pretty ambitious pace for us and even for our team. But we get into that pace of just, and it's not just little things, like something net new, like this cups, it's a whole new supply chain, it's all new people, it's all new partners, it's everything, actually new formulas. The noodle has to be different because it needs to cook within a couple of minutes, and so everything changes. So we do have to get started on those things. I mean, some of our formats have started years ago, but we just know we can't slow down, and there's just, our minds are bursting with ideas. There's just we've barely even scratched the surface, so we just want to get them out to the world as quickly as possible. Some of these things take a long time. It's probably been more than 2 years that it took to get those little microwavable cups. I'm pointing at the pantry, which out there, I saw that there are some samples of our cups out there, but it's everything. We rethought everything from top to bottom. So that's multiple years in the making, but we probably started working on that the day that we launched, 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago on shelf. So we got started early because we just knew that this brand is going to be big. It's going to go far and wide, and we intended to build a mass brand, not just a little something. So
Awesome.